Welcome back, everybody, to a beautiful attacking chess game, man. And this opening right here is honestly probably the greatest opening I've ever seen in my life. It's probably the greatest opening I've ever seen in my life, and I want to give a big shout out to Will Taylor Chess because he's the one that put me on with this. If you don't know who Will Taylor Chess is, I don't know what to say. But we're going to show you this game, this beautiful game, and then at the end of game review, I'm going to show you a couple of more lines from this opening that you can potentially get. So, without further ado, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get straight into this mug. Let's go. E4, E5. It starts with an E4, E5 game, so you'll most likely see it a lot. Knight F3, Knight C6, the basics to the basics, basically. And you lash out. D4, you play the Scotch game. You play the Scotch game, and shout out, bro, the Scotch game, bro, there's not enough words on this world for me to describe how much I love the Scotch game. Pawn takes, knight takes. The boring way to play it is to trade everything down, bring the queen out. But most people won't do that. They'll play bishop to c5. You break that. You add an extra level of defense to the knight, bishop to e3. Defend the knight some more. And now their best move, queen to f6. Because if they don't play queen to f6 and they just play something foolish like knight out or pawn to h6, you'll take the knight, tempo on the queen, and then you'll win a piece. So queen to f6, and here is where we deviate. You don't play the main line. You don't play c3. You play knight to b5, threatening a fork. If the pawn goes here, you just take, and you trade everything down. You just develop in long castle, and they have double isolated pawns. The bishop's trash. So, and if they just play bishop here, you take, and you fork them anyways. So, their best move, bishop takes bishop, double your pawns. And now, the black pieces have 3 moves that they can do. They can take this pawn. Not good. They can go back, which is pretty decent. Or they can go queen h4 check and pick up this pawn. My opponent goes queen h4 check, and you play g3. And it looks so bad. It looks so bad because queen takes e4. But since they took our bishop and we captured back, we have a pawn on e3. So this doesn't come with check. But he's targeting our rook. But we also have a fork. We play knight to c7 check, king to f8. We take the rook. He takes our rook. And now we jump our queen into the mix. Queen to d6. Motzki's is threatened. Queen to g8 is such a gross checkmate. My opponent has to move the knight to one of these 2 squares to defend it with the rook. My opponent goes knight to e7. Extra defense of this knight. But his best move is to go knight to f6, but he doesn't realize that. I give a check with the queen. King slides back. Now this knight has to defend here. Because, actually, no, that makes sense. Because I'd give this check and then I'd pick up the... No, it wouldn't, because if knight was here, I'd give this check, the king could escape here, and then the rook would defend. But now we played knight to d2. Defend these 2 squares so the queen can't come back out here. It can come here, but then we just long castle. You take a pawn. We jump the knight in, or we jump the knight back. Either or. My opponent, though, lashes out d5. Pawn to d5. I just long castle. We already have a 2.4 advantage. We already have a 2.4 advantage, 2.7, and it's steadily climbing. Your opponent has to be very keen on what they're doing to stop this. My opponent takes a pawn. And here I find such a beautiful move. Such a beautiful move that I had to play it. Knight to e4. A complete sacrifice of a knight. A complete sacrifice of a knight. The best move is to not take it. The best move is to go king to f8. Why? Why can't you take this pawn? Pawn takes. He takes it. m3. Why can't he take this? Why can he not take that knight? Because I have the most devious, the most calculated response. I'm not sacrificing the rook. No. I'm not Gotham chess. I'm better. I'm sacrificing the queen. Queen d8 check. Only move is to take with the knight. Knight takes d8, and now we have knight to c7 check. The king has to go to f8 now. And we got checkmate on your dome piece. We got checkmate on your dome piece. On your dome piece. And here he resigned. Or he didn't resign. He got checkmated. What the heck am I talking about? But let's go to game review. See how well I played. We played at a 91.5% accuracy and a 2550 rated level. Let's go. After we do game review, I'm going to show you a couple more lines from this opening. Takes, here, jump in, takes, queen h4 check. Now we take, queen into the mix, blunder. We go check first. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Knight d2 before the check is the move. Knight d2 before the check. He steps back, knight d2. He lashes out, we castle, takes, and knight to e4. Blunder because he can play king to f8, but that's such a weird move to find. What if he just plays here? We're cooking because, I mean, that's not even the move. Check here. And there's got to be something. But, brilliant. And now, let me show y'all a couple more lines from this opening because it's so beautiful. All right, like I said, takes. The opponent can check here and go back or take this pawn. First, we'll look, what if they take this pawn? Well, if they take this pawn, you go knight to c3. Bro, why am I lagging? You go knight to c3. And if they just do something foolish like here, you have rook b1 and you trap the queen. So, they'd have to get out. And now here, you take here, check. King steps up and you play queen to d2. Queen to d2 because if they take the knight, check, and you pick up the queen. So, their best move, rook b8. And now, you just bring the knight back. You want a pawn. The rook, the king can't castle this way. The king can't castle at all. The king's stuck in the middle. You'll just develop the bishop. Short castle. You have these beautiful open files, and you just attack. You just play chess at this point. Okay. So, what if they go queen h4 check, and they don't take the pawn like they did in the game? They go back. Well, here, queen to g4, targeting this pawn. Best move is king to f8. But the most reasonable move is g6. And here you play queen to f4, re-threaten the fork. So they'll play d6. And now bishop to c4. You got Motzky's threatened. Queen to e7, a reasonable response. Or knight here to defend. But, okay, queen here. You just castle. And you still got stuff threatened. Knight to e5. You say, I don't care about my bishop. Knight to c3. If you take, knight into d5, targeting the queen. And this is threatened. You have to keep your eye on Motzky's. Now you go check here. If they go here, you got g5 check. And you just start butchering them on everything. So that's just a couple lines, bro. It's so beautiful, man. Once again, shout out to Will Taylor Chess for putting me onto this opening. I hope y'all liked, y'all comment, y'all subscribe, man. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Shout out to the Blumenfeld on top.